Well, as I mentioned earlier, today's podcast is going to be a little bit different than the ones that we normally do. In a sense, it's an interview or an overview of life as a homeschool mom, but it also is my desire to share with you some of the things that I've learned over the years. About a year ago, I did an online masterclass for moms who are interested in learning how to design a homeschool that works for them. Not necessarily the one that works for their sister down the street or their friend in the co op group, but one that really fit their family. And so we have designed a course at many people's requests on this very topic, which allows us to go into much more depth than we did in the free workshop. So we're going to be launching Designing a Homeschool That Works for You this coming Thursday, April the 6th. Registration for that ends 11:59 on April the 5th. And I wanted to just give you a little bit of information about what's included in that course, what topics we're going to be covering, who it really would apply to so that you can see if it's a good fit, how much it costs, how long it lasts, and more information that I think you'll find interesting. So I wanted to let you know that right away as I get into today's podcast. My name is Lori Lane, and my husband John and I live in the central Colorado Rockies. We've been married for over 33 years and have four sons, been parenting for over 31 years, homeschooling for 23 years, and have just graduated our fourth and final son. Three of our sons are now married, two have children, and one is now in college. I've gone from being the mom of all boys to adding being the Mimi for five girls. I've been a work at home mom my entire adult life, and I've learned a lot over the years. I've made a lot of mistakes, and I've had some success as well. One of the things that John and I learned as we went along those 23 years of homeschooling was a way to make homeschooling fit into our family instead of our family fitting into homeschooling. Now, I don't know if you're already a homeschooling mom or if you're considering homeschooling, but trying to make homeschooling fit into your family and reinforce your values and your priorities for your family and for your children can be a challenge. That's something that John and I worked really hard at, and I think I know I have some things that I can share with you that'll make your journey a little easier. I've also had the opportunity to work with hundreds of homeschool families through Artios Academies, and I'm often met with moms who say they are facing one or more of the following issues. They feel like homeschooling has taken over their life. They feel like homeschooling has strained their relationship with their husband. They feel like they're no longer a mother to their children, only their teacher. They feel like it's impossible to keep up with housework, cleaning, homeschooling, cooking, and other responsibilities. And they can't remember the last time they felt like they had a real adult conversation, or that they can even remember the interests and hobbies that they had personally before they started homeschooling. Well, in designing a homeschool that works for you, I want to help you learn how to determine what you value as an individual, what you value as a family, and what type of lifestyle best fits your family as you go through your homeschool journey. We're going to be talking about how to make homeschooling fit into your family life instead of your family fitting into homeschooling, and how to find materials and activities that reinforce that priority and work with your family and not against it. We're going to be talking about how to tell yourself the truth about your time and your circumstances and how to make them work for you, and how to keep the priorities of people, process, and product in that order as you begin to homeschool. Now, I mentioned that I've had some success in this area, but I've had some miserable failures as well. This is a recent picture of our four boys and our three daughter-in-laws. It was taken at Jordan's January 8th wedding a little over a year ago. And although we are done with our active parenting years, it seems like it was just yesterday that I was walking around wondering if I would ever be able to just walk through my house without the searing pain of walking on a Lego or finding Cheerios in every nook and cranny of my car and of my living room furniture. I assure you that some of those days passed very slowly, but the years went by really fast. I can remember looking around me and trying to make choices for our homeschool based on what other people were doing, based on tradition, sometimes based on my fears, and sometimes based on peer pressure. And this resulted in a lot of stress in our home, in relationships, and in our homeschool. And it resulted in our getting sidetracked from the real priorities that John and I had for our family and the priorities that we felt like God had for our family. I'm so thankful that somewhere along the way, John and I both got fed up. We got fed up with trying to please everyone around us, trying to impress people that really didn't care anyway, trying to stay up with the trends, and with worrying about the future. And we began to learn how to turn our attention to what we felt like God had for us and how we were led to God's Word and to our needs for guidance to meet the individual needs of our boys and of our family. Now, I don't know about you, but every one of our boys, as you can see from this picture, has a very different personality. That meant we needed to design an individualized approach to our homeschooling, and we needed to find a way to make it work for us and not against us. So I want to share with you the steps that we are talking about in the upcoming e-course, Designing a Homeschool That Works for You. First of all, investing in yourself. Now, we're going to be spending an entire half of one of our 5 sessions on talking about ways to invest yourself. And many of you may be surprised that that's the first step. But I need to remind you that if we don't nurture and feed ourselves as moms, as wives, and as home educators, we'll have nothing to give others. I know you've seen the picture of a mom in a third world country trying to nurse her baby, and that it's obvious by the picture that she has no nourishment to share with that child. You know, the same is true of us. An empty vessel can't give out to those around us. And that we're going to be discussing some specific steps that you can take and that will walk you through in our workbook and handbook in order to truly invest in yourself in a way that is eternally important. You know, so many of us drift through life. However, be careful. If you don't know where you're going, you may end up where you're headed. And so we're going to spend the second half of the first session that we have together in the e-course talking about how to determine your dreams and your goals for your family. We all spend more time planning a vacation or planning lesson plans than we really do planning our lives and planning our family lifestyle. And the workbook that we're going to be going through and the tips that I'm going to be sharing are going to help you walk through that in a very logical and systematic way in conjunction with the relationship with your husband in a way that will bring unity and harmony into your home. We're also going to be talking about considering your situation. Sometimes we look at things through rosy colored glasses. Now, there's nothing wrong with being idealistically realistic, but sometimes we look at our situation through glasses that see the glass as being half empty instead of half full. And we're going to be talking about financial challenges in homeschooling, curriculum challenges, learning challenges, health challenges, environmental challenges, and location challenges. Or you could look at all of those as opportunities and ways to integrate your situation again in a way that influences your home to be more in harmony. We're also going to be talking about how to make choices based on the dreams and the goals and the priorities that you have for your family. And we're going to get very specific about curriculum, about philosophy, about methodology, about scheduling, and about many other areas that relate to making your homeschool work for your family and in harmony with your family versus against it. We're going to be talking about finding your people. Finding your people as you homeschool is really critical to the longevity of your homeschool journey. And we all need partners in our journey. You may or may not know that the End in Mind is a resource for homeschooling families everywhere. And although you may have been reading articles at the End in Mind for some time, we're going to be sharing some ideas with you about building community at your own area. There are so many different perspectives, so many paradigms, but bottom line, we have to find our people in order to build a community for ourselves, for our families, and for our children. Finding like-minded people are very important, or is very important. And we're going to be talking about different ways to do that. We're going to be talking about bartering. We're going to be talking about studies. We're going to be talking about co-ops. We're going to be talking about programs, different ways that may apply to you in a way that will help you to find your people. We're also going to be talking about organizational methods that smooth the way for you to focus on what's most important. We're going to be talking also and discussing in depth how to build and develop an attitude within yourself that balances the process of learning with the product of learning in a way that allows you to focus on the people involved in the learning, which are your children. We're also going to be discussing the importance of the father and a father's role in homeschooling. And it may or may not be what you think. So many times we have a certain picture of what a father is supposed to do in homeschooling, and that is so varied and is so individualized for the family. But we're going to be talking about ways to include him, ways to make sure there's harmony between husband and wife if you're married, so that you can proceed through this journey in unity. We're going to talk about ways to find balance, ways to be able to focus on what's truly important and not be feeling like we're continually putting out fires. All of these were things that John and I worked really hard on. All of these steps were so that we could have a homeschool that worked for us and not against us. Now, a few months ago, I did a podcast on balance. It was called Balance, Myth or Reality. Life definitely has seasons. And balance isn't spending the same amount of time on everything, but it is spending the appropriate amount of time on things. And that will change depending on the season that you're in. And given now that I am done raising children, and I am done homeschooling, I think I can offer some perspective on the different seasons that you go through as you're going through your mothering, as you're going through homeschooling, so that you can look towards the end of what you want, the goals of what you want, and be able to maneuver through those seasons as God would have you do that. So in this course, Designing a Homeschool That Works for You, we're going to be talking about investing in yourself, determining your dreams, goals, and priorities for yourself and for your family and children, taking into consideration your situation, making choices in programs and curriculum, philosophy, methodology that reinforce your priorities, various ways of finding your people, steps to determining organizational methods that will help you have a more smoothly running household, again, so that it works in harmony with your priorities. Steps to developing an attitude that balances people, process, and product. Recognizing and bringing in the father within your homeschool. Learning to focus on the truly important and recognizing that life has seasons. Now, you may be asking, how do you make what you've learned here today work and work quickly for you? Well, first of all, there is a free 45-minute workshop on this very topic. It's the one that I gave a year ago on theendinmind.net. And you can go there and look under resources or under master classes, and you will see the same title in a masterclass 45-minute workshop. You can follow the steps given in the order given. I cover all 10 of those in 45 minutes. Or you can join the e-course, which we're going to have, which is going to include the following. First of all, it's going to go into much more depth into each one of those 10 areas, giving resources and access to different ideas and perspectives that will help you dive into these topics in more depth. We're also going to be doing 5 45-minute live workshops that will have that in-depth instruction in them. Each one of those is going to be followed by questions and answers, where you're going to be able to be asking questions and be able to have me and some other mentoring moms on there to answer those questions. We're going to record each one of those sessions so that you can have lifetime access. And if you're not able to attend them live, you can go in and listen to them at your convenience. We have a workbook with step-by-step processes and activities for you to go through with us as we're going through the workshops. We have established a private Facebook group for all those that enroll in the course. And we'll be doing 3 60-minute Facebook Live Q&As throughout the course, so that as you're working through the workbook and the handouts and the workshops, that you can come on there and ask questions in between some of our sessions so that we continue to mentor you through the process. You'll also get, of course, mentorship and community. Now, when John and I really worked on this, now this was the process of, 23 years of homeschooling, but there were some real results that I found when we really went through each one of these steps as we prepared for the year, as we designed our homeschool. I had more peace and less anxiety. I had more direction and less frustration. Notice I didn't say no frustration, I said less frustration. I had more flexibility and I felt less stress when I was following these steps. I felt more productive and I had less missed deadlines. I felt more creative and less stagnant and kind of trapped. And I felt like I was more present in the moment and less distracted. And that's what I really want for you. I want you to have joy in your homeschool journey, and I want you to develop rich relationships within your family and with your people as you find community. I want you to be able to gain from the mistakes I've learned along the way, or made along the way, and some of the things that John and I have learned along the process. And who knows, maybe I'll even get John to come in on one of those question and answers so that he can talk about it from a dad's perspective. The cost of the course is $29.95 and it begins April the 6th at 12 noon Eastern. But again, if you can't attend it live, it is recorded and you'll receive links for each one of those sessions as they're completed so that you can listen to them at your convenience. Registration closes very soon. It closes April 5th. That's Wednesday, April 5th at 11:59 p.m. Again, in-depth instruction, 5 45-minute live workshops followed by question and answers, recorded lifetime access, a workbook with a step-by-step process, a private Facebook group, 3 60-minute Facebook live question and answers, mentorship, and community for $29.95. This is the first time I've really gone on and promoted an e-course. I had a lot of encouragement from friends and colleagues that we needed to put this information into an e-course format and offer it through the End in Mind. And so that's what we're doing. And I hope that it will be a blessing to you. I don't pretend to have all the answers, but the questions you have are certainly worth us putting our heads together and thinking about. Don't forget, it's Designing a Homeschool That Works for You. It's an online e-course. Registration ends April the 5th at 11:59 p.m. and you can register by going to theendedmind.net.